This is Dante Williams, and you're watching
Dante's
Boxing Nation.
This is Showtime Sean Portland. Filipino Flash, Jesse Burns.
This is Al Bernstein. You're watching Dante's Boxing Nation.
Hi, I'm Sugar Ray.
Chick Shape.
Sergio the last name
Dante's Boxing Nation. Boom, 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 boom.
Yo, this is Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder.
My name is Golovkin.
And you're watching
Dante's Boxing Nation.
Well, yeah. We over here at Dante's Boxing Nation and Deporte Cubano in Big Bear, California with Abel Sanchez. He's giving us a tour of his training camp, his what would you call it, Abel?
I would say a training school.
Hello.
Hey, Abel, what's going on, man?
Not much.
All right, Abe. Now, the last time I talked to you, you pretty much told me that you didn't believe the Danny Jacobs fight was going to happen at all. You said you thought he was going to ask for too much money. You predicted that the fight wouldn't happen, and now this...
It's not done yet, is it?
Well, no, it's not over yet. But now, you know, it's already been past 30 days when it comes to the purse bid, and a lot of people are, you know, they're losing hope when it comes to this fight. I want to ask you this. Now, it seems like Danny Jacobs, he came out, at least according to reports, he's saying he
Hold on a second. Let me put my earphones on. Hold on.
No problem.
I can't hear on this damn phone. Hold on.
Okay.
I'm here.
Okay, and I might sound a little different because I have you hooked up to my my radio audio mixer and everything over here, but
okay.
But anyway, so now Danny Jacobs, he's saying, according to reports, that he just wants a 60-40 split in favor of Gennady Golovkin. So, what do you think about that?
I think that's ridiculous, man. People got to earn that. If it was Floyd talking, then you can understand it. If there was Canelo talking, you can understand it. But what the hell has Danny done? I mean, the rules are set in place for those exact situations when the challenger is not that renowned, let's just say, and it's the way they have it set up, the splits is so that guy gets rewarded with some, you know, not great change, but some good change. What if it was 90-10 because he's not known? He really hasn't done anything. Unfortunately, the Mora fight doesn't qualify him for stardom.
But the Peter Quillen fight, I was thinking, because obviously I agree with you that obviously Golovkin should get the bigger slice of the pie. But if that is what it takes to make this fight, and as big as this fight would be in New York, you don't think that maybe you guys should budge a little bit and just take the bigger slice?
No, because then every opponent's going to be doing the same thing. Rules were set in place for a reason. If it warrants it, I mean, it's like somebody saying to you, you know what, your company that you got going is somebody saying to you, you know, well, you got to take a less cut, even though you do all the work. You've been there. You took it through the growing stages. You got to take a cut and pay, and nobody else does anything to do what you do. I mean, there comes a point where you have to be realistic and stand your ground. If Danny, look, when Golovkin first came on the scene, when he fought the Proska fight, he fought it for nothing almost. Fought the second fight almost for nothing. Defenses were made for very little money to earn our keep. And now that he's there, other people got to earn their keep too. Unfortunately for Danny, he said some things in the past, like that magical figure he had in his head. Do you remember that video?
Yeah, I remember
that magical figure he had in his head. So they get set on a number, and they don't get off it. That's the reason a lot of guys are not fighting right now. Gary Russell made comments like that too. Gary Russell about getting big purses. Well, you got to earn them. The big purses come from what? Come from people wanting to see you. Subscriptions, ratings, all those big purses come from that. So when they haven't earned it, it's difficult for somebody to warrant that. What Danny's last fight on the Mora card, when he fought Mora, he was the underneath fight. I don't know if he was even shown on TV. And who was the main event? Easter and Kame.
No, actually,
serious.
No, actually, Danny Jacobs, he was the main event in the Mora rematch.
I didn't see the card, so I'm talking out of my ass because I didn't see the card. But just what was it at? What was it for? All those things have to come into play when you're talking about what he deserves and doesn't deserve. I mean, I of course I want the fight. I think it's a great fight. I think it's a hope between you and I. I hope that that it happens, because it's a great story. I've said it all along. I said it to you.
Yeah, and I know you guys want the fight. I know you guys want the fight. But let me ask you this: I did a poll. I did a poll, and all the fans, they voted. Of course, a whole lot of Golovkin fans and everyone, all other different kind of fans, and 80% of them said that Golovkin should take the 60% split. Does that surprise you that the fans will say that?
What surprises me is you're polling people that have nothing to do with this game. You're polling people that have nothing to do with earning a living in boxing. You're polling people that have not done any kind of sacrifice to get to a certain point. You're polling people that they're sitting behind the typewriter that have no clue what it takes to get to this point. So no, I'm not surprised. But you know what? That's great that those people said that. But at the end of the day, those people are not going to climb the ropes. It's Golovkin is going to climb the ropes.
Mm. So, I mean, so you believe it's worth walking away from this fight if Danny, he says, I'm firm on 60-40, it's 60-40 or no fight. You guys are perfectly okay to walk away.
I believe that whatever Tom and the Herman brothers decide that's best for us, my personal opinion has nothing to do with what happens in the outcome of this. Okay, but if I was the one making a decision, you have to earn that myself. Mm-hmm. That's my belief. But it's not my decision. I when they tell me it's done, we'll get it. In fact, Golovkin comes into the gym tomorrow Saturday. Uh-huh. When he comes into the gym, we start working. We're going to work for somebody. Hopefully it's Danny Jacobs. But Danny Jacobs chooses not to fight. He can go fight at Reading, Pennsylvania again for $100,000. That's all right.
Mm. Yeah, and that may actually happen if he doesn't get this fight, which is unfortunate.
Which is crazy. He's got a chance to fight for 4 belts.
Yeah.
He's got a chance to fight for 4 belts. That's unheard of, man. He earned that right to get there, but now he can't be obstinate about it. He's got a chance to make history. If he honestly, truly believes that he can beat Golovkin, like they do, which we all have to believe in our hearts when we're the challenger, that we can win. If he honestly believes it, and Andre believes it, he's fighting for 4 belts. Can you imagine who he is after this fight? If he beats Golovkin?
Yeah, well, I've said it. I've said it in a lot of videos.
So who's the one that's gotta take a step back and say, you know what, I want the fight? Who's the one that's got more to gain than to lose?
Take a sacrifice. Yeah.
Okay, well, then why are you asking me those questions? Do you think it's right that we turn it down or that it doesn't get made? It's not up to us. It's not up to us.
Well, I mean, I've already asked, at least some of my colleagues, have already asked Danny Jacobs the same questions. But,
right.
I mean, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm listening.
No, like I said, it'll just be unfortunate. I mean, I just truly believe, like I just said in my previous video, if he were to beat Gennady Golovkin, then he could ask for a lot more money in a possible rematch.
He could turn us down unless he got the world.
Yeah.
I mean, really, he's in command. He's got everything. Now he's got the chance to go after Saunders and be the unified champion after Bernard Hopkins. Could you imagine how big that is? That's huge.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay, now let me ask you this. Let's say hypothetically the fight doesn't happen. Danny Jacobs, he goes after Billy Joe Saunders, Canelo, Chris Eubank, and he beats one of those guys. Then he comes back to the table and he says, okay, my stock has risen. I want 60-40.
No, wait a minute. If he beats Billy Joe Saunders, that's the 4th belt. He's a champion.
Mm-hmm.
So
he's the regular he's the regular WBA champion right now, right? I mean, I know Golovkin's a super.
But he's not recognized as a champion. You and I both know that he's not recognized as a champion, the middleweight champion. He beats Billy Joe Saunders. He is the middleweight champion of the WBO. He's not the WBA middleweight champion. Golovkin is. He is an interim a regular that's normally the mandatory. Okay, the WBA is trying to eliminate all those ridiculous belts that they put together. But now, if he beats Billy Joe Saunders, now you're talking. Mm-hmm. Now he's somebody because he's a world champion, legitimate world champion that people recognize as there's 4 organizations that are supposedly legitimate right now, and he'd be one of them. I mean, that's big.
That is big.
In my opinion, anyway.
No, that is big. That is big. Now I have to ask you, what was the split between Golovkin and Kell Brook?
That's like me asking you how much you make every year. Come on, that's a crazy question. That's something for Golovkin to
his personal life is not open to the public. That's part of his personal life. What gets posted, I know that you know, being in this business for a while, for the time you've been in it, I know you know that whatever gets posted is generally not the true amount.
I mean,
even in Vegas, even some of the Mexican fighters, some of the Latin fighters, you know, they posted. Brand fought what's his name, Andre Ward, and got $30,000 according to the commission. Well, you know that that's the truth. You know that that's maybe for tax purposes. You know, so there's a lot of numbers that could be thrown about that are not necessarily true. But again, that's Golovkin's. It's like you're asking me how much I made last year. I mean, it'd be ridiculous for me to tell you because that's none of your business.
well, I mean, but I was only asking that because I was trying to get a gauge and compare to what, you know, Danny Jacobs was asking for.
You
know,
can't compare Danny Jacobs to Kell Brook for a lot of different reasons.
Why not?
Why? Because Danny Jacobs couldn't draw what Kell Brook drew in England. We did 500,000 buys. Okay, and a lot of it was because of Kell Brook, because he's a very popular guy there. So you can't compare Danny Jacobs when Danny Jacobs is fighting in Reading, Pennsylvania, for on a minus channel or in a small channel where he's not making that kind of money. You can't compare when he doesn't put asses in the seats. It's two different people.
Yeah, but Danny Jacobs, he would bring a lot of fans to New York. I mean, you do agree with that, though, right?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely, he would bring a lot of people. I don't think look. The last time that he fought at the Barclays, how many people did he bring when he fought Quillen? And Quillen was a New Yorker too. Was it 12,000, 8,000? How many people?
I think it was about 8,400.
So you got two guys from New York at the Barclays right there in their hometown, and they couldn't fill it up.
But the fact that Golovkin,
you got a guy from Kazakhstan, from Karaganda, from all the way across the other side of the world, who's arenas on both coasts and on the other side.
That's a different conversation, though, right there. I mean,
we
know.
So you can't ask me how I compare Brook and Jacobs because it's a different conversation.
No, but I mean, because what I'm saying is, of course, Gennady Golovkin, he's a fan favorite. Yeah, I mean, no matter where he comes from, he's a fan favorite.
Because the fan favorite brings people into the arena and people want to go see him fight. I don't see how unfair to stick by the rules that have been in place for I don't know, the 80s or something like that. Other champions and other challengers put up with it and dealt with it, and Danny Jacobs can't.
You talking about the purse? You talking about the purse split?
Yeah, the split. Yeah. If he really thought that he could beat Golovkin, and if he really thought that he wanted to make history, if he really thought that he wanted to show the people of Brooklyn that he could do this, then he would fight for whatever it was that was offered to him. In this particular case, it was being offered is what's been set for a long, long time. Now, if you said to me that Golovkin offered him 80-20 or 90-10, I would say, no, that's not fair, because that's not the rules.
Yeah. But, I mean, like you said, it's going to be 75-25 if it goes to a purse bid. But so now that makes me wonder, what was the offer before that? That's kind of what that makes me wonder now. What was the offer before the purse split?
That's a question you have to ask Danny, because Danny's the one that turned it down. I didn't turn it down. Okay, but understand this: that if Danny is asking for that money that we think we've been reading, that we've been thinking about that it is, that means that if Al wants to win the purse bid, he'd have to bid $12 million. Is that fight going to generate $12 million? So if it goes to purse bid, if Al wants to win the fight for Danny, he'd have to bid $12 million so that Danny could get his 3.
Yeah.
So now, how does it warrant Danny asking for that kind of money? Now, let's just say that it was $2 million, okay, that he was asking for. That means he's got to bid $8 million. Who's going to bid $8 million? Heavyweight fights don't get that kind of money.
You know, I see it both ways, Abel. No doubt about it. I see it both ways.
Yeah. So let me ask you, what do you think if it went to purse bid and Danny took a chance? Let's just say, what do you think Danny would accept today for him not to have to accept whatever purse bid ends up being? If it ends up being that the purse bid is $4 million by whichever promoter it is, that means Danny's take is $1 million. You think he's been offered more than $1 million? I think so. I don't know, but I think so. So he would be in a short end of it if it got $4 million. If in that $4 million, think back to how many fights in the last couple of years, any weight that you know of that went to purse bid that generated that kind of money, $4 million, $3 million, $2 million. So what's Danny's take going to be?
Yeah, well, it's going to be a lot less if it goes to the purse bid.
Okay, so what does he do then? What does he do? Does he vacate the title?
He vacates and he doesn't fight. And
Okay,
I mean,
so-
and that's what Danny said. They said that before. They said if it goes to purse, but to a purse bid, they're not going to take the fight. They pretty much said that.
Okay, well, there's rules in place. There's rules in place for everybody, not just for Golovkin, for everybody, for every organization, for every title at stake, for every fighter. There's rules in place that they've set for a long, long time for this particular situation. Now, if Danny doesn't take the fight, that's his choice. But he worked himself all the way to that point not to take a fight that he thinks he can win.
It doesn't make sense.
You mean, you mean to tell me now we're going to get on Golovkin because he's got 2 belts. He won 2 belts in 1 year, like people giving him up. Didn't have to fight him. And now we're going to blame it on Golovkin because, he's fighting a bunch of bums, as most of the media would say it. But now, 2 guys, 2 champions, give their belts up and refuse to fight him.
And
in 1 year.
And that's the reason why everybody wants to see this fight, and they feel that it's a big step up for.
I've said it from the beginning, and I said it to you. I think it's a great fight. I think this fight and the Canelo fight for Golovkin are defining fights for all 3 guys. Mm-hmm. All 3 guys are going to be. To me, those 3 names right there are the Hagler, the Duran, the Hearns, the Leonards of those eras back there. Mm-hmm. But they have to fight each other. But they have to fight each other just like when Floyd fought Oscar. Floyd took nothing. Am I wrong?
Yeah. I've said it tons of times. Yeah.
Okay, Floyd took nothing, and Oscar made the biggest payday he ever had, and Floyd took nothing, but Floyd invested. Mm-hmm. Floyd invested in the future.
And he won the fight, and he became the new cash cow just because he won the fight. So that's
what I'm trying to say.
The risk paid off.
So if it was good enough for Floyd, to my opinion, one of the greatest fighters of our time, and still is. If he came back, he still would be, until somebody beats him. If he could do it, undefeated man, had never been knocked out, undefeated man, he could do it. He could sacrifice himself and his ego to make history. A guy that's been knocked out 8 fights ago can't do that?
I totally agree. I use the exact same example. I totally agree with that. I mean, I don't really see, like I said, I'm looking at it both ways, I guess, from a boxing fan perspective and a reporter. The fact that, you have Danny Jacobs, he's asking for something. You have Golovkin, who feels he deserves a certain...
No. We're not asking for any more than what the rules are. It's not what he deserves. It's what the rules are.
No, but I'm saying before the purse split, before the purse bid, you guys were negotiating. So there was something...
So if it doesn't come true because of the negotiations, let's go just by the rules.
Yeah.
And by the rules, he gets less.
And that's the reason why a lot of people feel it benefited Golovkin and you guys to not even negotiate and just let it go to the purse bid, right?
No, I mean, I'm not in the middle of that. I'm not in. Honestly, I trained the young man, and he's in the gym with me for 10 weeks. I train him. I get him prepared for the fight. Those all things are done by Tom and by the Herman brothers. We have to be a team, just like everybody else has a team, and we have to trust that they're doing the best for us. Mm-hmm. Just like they have to trust me that I'm training this young man to be the best for all of us. If they couldn't come up with an agreement, I'm sure that it was because it was not in our best interest. If Danny didn't agree with what they were trying to do for him, well, then it wasn't in Danny's best interest. But you know what? That's up to Danny. That's up to Danny. It's up to us not to take it. It's up to Danny not to take it. Mm-hmm. But it's unfortunate for us as fight fans, because I'm a fight fan too. It's for us fight fans that we need to have those fights happen because it's good for boxing and it's good for tomorrow. Okay, let's just say Danny and Golovkin go 12 rounds and it's a great drag-out fight. Shit, could you imagine what the second one would be?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Same thing with Canelo. If it was a drag-out fight, it could be a Vasquez-Marquez. It could be a Barrera-Morales. There's so many great trilogies out there. Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier. I mean, it's going to make money, and it's going to make more money in the future. You just have to understand that people work up. It's just like if it was the shoe was on the other foot, and Jacobs worked up to that point. Would he be given it? Of course, I wouldn't be given it.
In terms of TV ratings and views and generating money, do you believe that Golovkin versus Danny Jacobs would do better numbers, TV ratings and everything than everyone else you guys faced before? Just your opinion.
Not everybody that we fought before.
Yes, like on HBO, of course, not pay-per-view, but
I would say it wouldn't be less. How much more, I don't know, but I wouldn't say it would be a less. I think that Danny's a good story. I said it from the beginning. I told you. The fact that he's a cancer survivor right there tells me that there's going to be people tuning in just because of his story.
And they'll probably promote it that way. HBO will probably promote it that way as well.
And they'd be foolish not to.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, Floyd Mayweather had a great story when he fought De La Hoya too.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
But that's why I believe. That's why I believe that it would be the biggest fight. I believe that you guys would draw the biggest numbers against.
I don't think
Danny
it'd be bigger
Jacobs.
than Canelo and Golovkin. I think.
Oh
Canelo
no! I'm talking about. I'm comparing Danny Jacobs to Golovkin's previous opponents on HBO. Yeah.
Hey, wait! Don't film him. Okay, you can do that. Go ahead, but don't film him doing that. Yes. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Dan. Go ahead.
Okay. No, I was comparing Danny Jacobs' numbers to previous Golovkin opponents. I was saying that Danny Jacobs. I believe that he would help Golovkin generate better numbers than Golovkin has against previous opponents.
Dante, come on. Listen to what you're saying. This young man fought in England, sold out in 11 minutes. This young man fought at Square Garden, sold out both times. This young man fought at the Forum, sold out both times. How can it generate more numbers than what he's doing? Jacobs hasn't done that. Yes, it's going to be a better fight. Yes, it's going to be a middleweight that everybody respects before he gets knocked out. But that he's going to generate because it's Danny Jacobs? No, it's Golovkin.
But I'm talking.
He had Wade, and he still sold out.
Yeah.
He had a guy that you guys are crucifying, a welterweight, supposedly in England, and sold out in 11 minutes. It wasn't because of just Brooke, and it wasn't just because of Wade. It was because of Golovkin. So if he fights Jacobs, it's not going to be because of Jacobs, because Jacobs couldn't draw numbers when he fought in Ready.
But I'm able at the same time. It reminds me of when Margarito was a monster, when he was the best welterweight. Shane Mosley, and I'm not saying Danny Jacobs is as big as Shane Mosley, but Shane couldn't sell tickets either when he wasn't fighting against another star. So when Shane would fight, he wouldn't sell tickets. But when Margarito fought Shane, they end up breaking records at the Staples Center. You know what I mean?
So we're supposed to bring Danny along with us on the ride because Danny can't sell tickets. That makes no sense.
Well, I mean, that's what happened with Willie Monroe. I mean, Golovkin, he fought Willie Monroe, and you guys sold out the arena at the Forum. So I'm thinking it would have to be bigger than that.
But Willie Monroe wasn't asking for the moon like Danny is. We're willing to fight.
Oh yeah,
Danny,
I agree with that. Yeah, I agree. Willie, he wasn't asking for anything.
No, Willie wanted an opportunity.
Yeah.
And Willie still wants an opportunity. He wants Canelo, and he's willing to fight for whatever to get an opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, once again, I agree with you to a certain extent that Danny Jacobs, he should take the risk. I was just saying that I truly believe, regardless of how you guys do the split, I truly believe that the TV ratings, I wasn't even talking about selling out arenas and how quick they sell tickets. I believe that Golovkin will do bigger TV ratings against Danny Jacobs than anyone else. That's just what I believe, because I know he did like a million. He did like a million.
Dante, as I said a little while ago, he is a story. He is a story, but he's not a story without Golovkin.
Oh, no doubt.
Okay, he's a story, so that's why he's going to sell. They're going to be able to sell because he's a story.
Mm-hmm.
But just because he's a story, fighting anybody else more is not going to draw. He needs Golovkin to make him draw. Golovkin doesn't need Danny Jacobs.
Yeah. Well,
I'm telling you that if Floyd Mayweather was smart enough, and that's the word, very important word, was smart enough to understand what his future was and what it could be, he did what he needed to do to be right now where we all envy him. I mean, all fighters envy that man. Not because of his money, but because of his stature, but because of who he is, because of how smart he is, because of the businessman that he is.
And the pound-for-pound fighters that he beat, too. He beat a lot of fighters that were on pound-for-pound.
There you go. So you mean to tell me Danny's not that smart, or his people are not that smart? They're trying to cash in. Is what they're trying to do?
And you know what? That's something that Danny Jacobs needs to answer and respond to.
Gary Russell is saying the same thing. That means Gary Russell's not going to be fighting? because Gary Russell you can only pay what they generate. Now, Gary Russell fights Lomachenko again, numbers.
Mm-hmm.
But Gary Russell fighting, or just asking for big money before you even announce a fight is to me, it's kind of ridiculous, because these guys got to understand where that money comes from. It comes from you and I paying for tickets, you and I paying for pay-per-views, you and I paying for HBO subscriptions or Showtime or whatever it is that we're paying for. But if we don't want to see them, we're not gonna watch. We're not gonna watch.
I wanted to respond to when you said you guys don't need Danny Jacobs. Now, you guys may not need him for financial reasons, but in terms of respect, climbing up the pound-for-pound ladder, and for Golovkin's reputation, I feel this is a perfect step up in competition.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think we'll ever fight Canelo?
Well, that's a tough question right there. All I can say is I know if it was up to Golovkin, the fight would happen.
Okay, but if we do, you're talking about what? Maybe a year down the road, or something like that, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay, so if Golovkin stays busy fighting the next guy in line because of obligations, it doesn't have to be Danny Jacobs. It could be the next one in line, the next one in line. It could be Toronto Johnson gets better and he fights. It could be that that little short, what is he, Ukrainian?
Kurzitse, Avondale Kurzitse.
You know what I'm talking about. Okay, so now we've got 3 or 4 names that he could fight without Danny Jacobs. So by the time next year comes around, he's already had 4 fights. We're still going to fight Canelo if we're going to fight him. We don't need Danny Jacobs. The deal they make today for Canelo does not hinge on Danny Jacobs.
You're saying if you're saying assuming you get the Canelo fight. That's what you're saying.
Assuming that they are negotiating, which from all accounts that you hear and that you read, because I'm not there again, I'm the coach. But assuming that they're negotiating and they make a deal for next year, it has nothing to do with Danny Jacobs today. Am I wrong?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
So
if they get that Canelo fight, then you definitely.
It doesn't matter who we fight. So it doesn't matter who we fight. We can fight 3 or 4 fights, and they make a deal today or tomorrow before the end of the year. We're still going to get Canelo for the same amount, the $10 or whatever, $11, $6, whatever it is that they decide that they're going to pay or they're going to agree on. We're going to fight him regardless of whether we fight Danny Jacobs today. So what does Danny Jacobs mean to Golovkin?
But I'm saying for now, since you guys haven't got the Canelo fight and you don't really know if Canelo is going to take that fight.
Yeah, but they're negotiating that fight for the 17th for September of 17. Oscar said it. Tom has said it that they're negotiating. So if they're set on that date of September next year, it doesn't matter what we do today. It doesn't matter who we fight in the next 3 or 4 fights, because they're going to have a number already set for a year from now.
When it comes to the fans, though, wanting to see, because I see where you're coming from. I see where you're coming from. You don't have to fight you don't have to take a serious,
No, but Golovkin wants to, though. Golovkin wants those challenges, but wants those challenges when they're wanted by them, by everybody else. If Danny doesn't want it, that's okay. Honest, we'll go on to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's unfortunate for me and for you and for all fight fans that want to see great fights, but I told you a month and a half ago that it wasn't going to happen. I told you why. He was going to price himself. I told you, the comment that I said to you was, there's a lot of ways to turn on a fight. You remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
You sure
There's
do.
a lot of ways to turn on a fight, and this is another way. Chris Eubank Sr. found his own way.
This is Bobby, and you're watching Dante's Boxing Nation.